What up, watch peeps? Laco has been around since 1925. They're one of the original manufacturers of the German B-Uhr Flieger watches. So they got the heritage, they got the brand cachet, if you will. My only experience with the brand, I used to have one of the Aachems, which is their 42 millimeter kind of basic intro pilot watch. I had the Type B dial, which is the minutes on the outside, hours on the inside. It's a Miyota 8215, nothing fancy, but a real nice intro into the world of pilot watches. So I was real excited when I was offered this opportunity to check out one of their more high-end pieces. So let's check it out. I'm Pete, and we are chilling with watches. Alright, wrist check. I am wearing the Woolbrook Skin Diver again. Man, I love this watch. It is so easy to put on, so hard to take off. Look for a review on this one coming up soon. Great watch. But what we've got here from Laco is actually not a pilot watch. This is from their line of Navy watches. And this particular model, the Cuxhaven, supposedly resembles what would have been worn by the U-1 submarine crew. And in this carrier, we have a microfiber cloth and a little case. And you'll have your warranty card, your instruction book in both German and English. And then lastly, the watch. Pretty cool case though. I never know if these are leather or faux leather. It's kind of big to get on camera. But a nice single watch carrier. The watch itself is gorgeous. I've really grown to like this watch more than I thought I would. It has a really nice white enamel dial. If you can see those thermally blued hands. When the light hits them just right, they really pop. Sorry. The hands are filled with C3. The dial uses C3 aluminum, which has like almost like a greenish tint to it, which you might think, ew, but yeah, it works here. It comes on this kind of taupe-colored leather strap, and this strap is nice. It feels very high quality, but it adds a bit of, well, I guess it's sporty, but it's maybe a little more dressy than I would want. So I'm going to put this on a strap of my own choosing. So there we go. One thing I love to do is take a watch that has like a bit of elegance to it, and I think this watch is that, and then dress it down with a completely utilitarian strap and just really give it both a elegant and sporty look at the same time. But yeah, let's take a closer look at this case. If you see this bezel, it has this really pretty kind of coin edge. And then on top of it is a polished ring, but it's not flat. It's like a rounded polished ring. And I think that is one of the features that really lends towards the elegance of this watch. But then if you look at the rest of it, it's completely brushed. The top of the lugs, the case sides, and to me that has like a tooly look to it, and I love that contrast, this charming elegance and then this tooliness, and then you throw it on an MN strap, which seems completely ridiculous, and it just turns it into this kind of sporty, cool, everyday watch. The crown is very cool. Kind of reminds me a little bit of, a pilot onion crown. Has this really nice coin edge to it. But if you can see closely in there, not only does it have that coin edge, but they've also bead blasted it, which adds like another element of texture to it and makes it real easy to manipulate, to wind. Now it's just a push-pull crown. Single position push-pull. And it is a hand wind movement in there, an ETA 6498 Elaborate, and we'll take a closer look at that in a second. But the crown is great. I think it looks good. It's signed, easy to use. But when you have a hand wound movement, one of the coolest things is when you have a display back so you can see it. So let's take a look at that. Let's take a look at that. Now, I never quite understood why people put display backs on automatics. Yeah, you can dress up the rotor, but they're just not that pretty. They don't hold a candle to what is going on with a hand-wound watch. I think I mentioned this is the ETA 6498, which is a movement that is near and dear to me. This is the first movement I've ever completely disassembled, cleaned, oiled, and put back together. Actually, here, let's take a look at that. So this is my actual project watch, and I've had this movement apart a number of times. This is the one I actually learned on. I'll show you guys the front. This is the same ETA 6498, but I wanted to show you this so you could see the difference between your base 6498 and the elaborate used here with the blue screws, the Geneva stripes. I mean, same exact movement. You can see the construction is the same, the layout is the same, but just way prettier in this Laco, right? But yeah, so this movement near and dear to my heart. I love this watch, always will. But yeah, look at this guy. Now I love this huge viewable area. This is a sapphire sandwich, both sides. And you'll see in here, this is where you wind the barrel when you can see that turning when you wind the crown. The barrel will be underneath there. Power is transferred through the train here, out to the escapement here. Just a really pretty movement. Now this is something that's worth putting a display back on, right? But an all-around gorgeous watch. Let's throw it on the time grapher and see how it's performing. So this guy's running at about plus 7 seconds a day. Not bad at all. Huge amplitude at 344. It is fully wound, so that's probably why that number is so high. 0 B-Uhr, so it's running real clean. And you'll notice it is 18,000 beats per hour, which is less beats per second than you would get out of an ETA 2824. So the second hand does not run quite as smooth, but you'll notice with these small seconds, that is really hard to discern that it is not running quite as smoothly. Looks just fine. These big old movements were originally made for pocket watches. And that is why they are usually found in larger watches. But this thing's running great. So let's go over the specs real quick. And like I said, this is a larger movement. So it is usually found in larger cased watches. This one coming in at 42.5 millimeters wide, 49.8 millimeters lug to lug, and 10.7 millimeters thick. So it's not a particularly thick watch. It is large, but I think it wears just fine. Has 22 millimeter lugs, and I said that's an ETA 6498 movement. Sapphire sandwich using C3 Loom. Push-pull crown maintaining 100 meters of water resistance. And it comes in at 81.5 grams on my MN strap here. So speaking of its size, here's how it wears on my 7.25 inch wrist. And like I said, it's large, but I don't think it's too large. I think it wears just fine. Let's take a look at it side by side some other watches. So while I have it here it is side by side my project watch, and my project watch actually comes in at 45 millimeters. So it is 2.5 millimeters larger than the Laco, but it doesn't look it quite here in the side by side. I think maybe that's partially because of the black dial. And when you're up past 42, what's a few millimeters? The thickness is probably pretty similar. From this view, it looks like my project watch is thinner. Here it is side by side with the more contemporary size Tudor Ranger coming in at 41 millimeters. So it's 1.5 millimeters difference. I don't think you could say it's larger, but it's not immensely larger. And looking at the side view, it's probably slightly thinner than the Ranger, right? I'd say a couple millimeters at least, the Ranger being an automatic. But for its size, I think it wears really well. One more thing to take a look at.
Peep the Lume.
And here you can see I mentioned earlier it is using C3 Loom, which is a really great bright loom. It's not thickly applied, but this is not a diver. I think for a Navy watch, this has really nice loom. So here it is, the Laco Cuxhaven from their line of Navy watches. And man, I really like this watch. The more I wore it, the more it grew on me. I've kind of been on the hunt for a great white. Hoopa! I've kind of been on the hunt for a white dial, casual, sporty watch. And man, I know I said this thing wears great at 42.5, but if there was a 40 millimeter version, it would be a serious contender. All right, before I let you go, Jedi power rankings. Now, This isn't necessarily how powerful they are with the Force, although that could be argued. There is some favoritism here. All right, coming in at number 5, Mace Windu. Number 4, Yoda. Number 3, Anakin Skywalker. Number 2, Obi-Wan Kenobi. And number 1, Ahsoka Tano. All right, that's it. I'm out. If it's not too much trouble, like, subscribe, and come back next time. Peace.